cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. It's time again.
What up, y'all? You tuned in to the 52 Scott Podcast. This is Music Monday, and I'm your host, Slash. And with me, I got Comedian 96, K Money, Freddie G. Together, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast. On Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. All right, welcome back to Music Monday. Got another great show for you today. So, as we know, right now the hip hop world is kind of being turned upside down, man. It's so much going on. But what I want to do is kind of keep some positiveness in it and go back to some of the older days where music was really music. You know, you had the 70s, you had a lot of groups from back in the days, the Isley Brothers and, you know, Maze and Earth, Wind and Fire and Teddy Pendergrass. I mean, we could go on for days about the older groups. Now, what's so spectacular about these older groups were the music that they had. Of course, live instrumentation is, you know, and that has a different feel, you know, to it rather than some of the digital stuff that's being done now. But it's so original to where most hip hop artists started sampling the music. And what I will say is that's kind of one of the original ways to make a hit. And if you notice, I said original because most original hip hop hits are samples from the older days and older bands and older groups and stuff like that. So I just want to talk about a few, you know, that were really, really good ones. Some great artists used some samples from some other great artists, which I think also helps it become a classical song. So her name was Ann Pebbles. I don't know if y'all remember this, but this was in 1973. She had a song called I Can't Stand the Rain.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So y'all know who sampled it, right?
Missy Elliott.
Yeah, and Timbaland.
And Eminem.
I don't know if Eminem, what song did he do it on?
No, I'm sorry. No, I keep getting.
You got to be sure about this.
It's no.
Missy Elliott.
I don't care to know. That's the wrong song.
Missy Elliott sampled I Can't Stand the Rain.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Against my window. But the original song, man, I'll tell you, I have a playlist where I got a lot of older music on there. And she was one on the playlist. And I had never heard the song before, the original song.
I didn't realize the original was that old.
Yeah, 1973. And I had never heard it. But when I heard it on the playlist, I was like, oh, that's where Missy got that. Excuse me. And it started making me think, you know, about other songs and where they got their, you know, sounds from and other artists that had some really, really good songs. So now, one person who I know, there was a show a while back, I mentioned Stevie Wonder. Of course, he's still around. Stevie Wonder had countless jams. You know, he was the main. He had the first birthday, black birthday song. Wonderful song. Stevie Wonder was a great artist. He had a song that he done called Pastime Paradise. And it was used by Coolio. Mm-hmm. He called it Gangsta Paradise. But Stevie Wonder had Pastime Paradise. I don't remember the Stevie Wonder song. Honestly, I don't. I probably heard it if I heard it before, but I don't remember this actual Stevie Wonder original. But it was his song that Coolio sampled. And Coolio did pretty good because that ended up being a lead single to the Dangerous Minds soundtrack.
Yeah.
And won a Grammy as well.
Yeah.
So again, these samples, when you sample the music from these older artists, as long as you're doing the right thing on top of it, you really got a shot at something.
Stevie is a good one because Tyrese did one. I don't know if y'all remember the episode with Martin and it was called "If It's Magic." When they was trying to, and he didn't want to sing, and Pam was trying to get him, and she finally got him on the show. But he sung a song called "If It's Magic." I had never heard the song before.
Yeah.
It was Stevie Wonder's song. That was his original song.
It was his original.
So yeah, a lot of people sample from Stevie.
Yeah. Now this duo and this guy who produced this is known for most of his career. He's used the most samples from any other producer in the hip hop era.
Drake.
So this this song, yeah, the next episode, Snoop and Drake, was sampled by David McCollum's track "The Edge." I never heard "The Edge," but that song was a sample. And Dre is known for damn near every track he's put out.
Yeah, it's
a sample in it.
I think it's a coast thing, because if you think of California music, California used a lot of P-Funk.
Yeah, that's where the originals of P-Funk are from too.
Make you wanna dance.
So I hear a lot of samples coming from that California area.
Era.
A lot of George Clinton
Yeah.
samples.
Even DJ Quick, he kind of had some of his songs resemble George Clinton.
Well,
Especially
that's what Freddie G saying. He think it's what you call it,
it's
a coastal.
It's a coastal
Coastal,
thing.
yeah.
All right, so look at this one. Footsteps in the Dark. The
Isley
Isley
Brothers.
Yeah. Who did that?
Oh.
Ice Cube. Today was a
Yeah,
good day.
today was a good day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Duh.
Footsteps in the
The
Dark.
Dark.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure that there's probably some others that sampled that may be, a more underground type of artist. But Cube did it, and that was from Footsteps in the Dark Parts 1 and 2 that Isley Brothers had. So all that Cube is doing in this song, and I think he picked the right track to actually talk about what he talked about on it, because it sounds like that, He just basically talked about his whole day, how great his day was, no barking from the dogs, no smog, and mama cooking breakfast with no hog. He got his grub on.
But didn't pig
Yeah.
out.
Finally got a call from a girl he wanted to dig out. So what he was saying fit perfectly, on that beat, Footsteps in the Dark, man. I don't think anybody could have done it better. Cube really.
I actually like the other remix better. I think we talked about this before. I
remix?
like the one he did with the Betty Wright. That remix, the same song,
Betty Wright.
but Betty Wright. He used the Betty Wright beat instead.
What Betty Wright beat? did he use?
All Another Day.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That one was more
Yeah.
upbeat to
and
me.
there's so many songs that use these samples. I mean, really, we could go all day. but
Let's
really
do it
see-
again.
Let's do it
man.
again.
That's
what it
the
is.
staple single.
That's the staple singles,
I
not
keep saying
Betty Wright.
No, that sometimes the rain.
Yeah, that's the staple singers. Let's do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, Let's Do It Again is a staple single.
Oh, she sound like Betty
We
Wright.
got to start fact checking.
I know, but I knew it
No,
was the
sound
beat.
like
I
Donald
knew.
Trump and this motherfucker.
But
Lying
it
about
does
everything.
sound like Betty Wright, doesn't it? I mean, the
You're gonna
actual
have
lead
to,
singer.
we're gonna have to put you in the corner, or get you off this bus.
I'm just saying the way she hit that note in the beginning. Sometimes the rain.
No,
So here's one. Now this song comes from the movie The Mac. I used to love The Mac. I used to watch
remember
it
that movie, yeah.
constantly. But this group used a piece of it, as well as DJ Paul and Juicy J used it. But it's Willie Hutch's "I Choose You," and UGK used it on their 5th album, Underground Kings, which was the hit single off of there, "I Choose You." They also had Outkast on there, and the producers of that was DJ Paul.
now you mentioned DJ Paul as being the producer, but that song was actually a Project Pat song. I Choose You.
"I Choose You." Yeah.
Yep, it was originally a Project Pat.
Project Pat,
if you
yeah.
go, I think it's on the Getty Green album, if I'm not mistaken. But it's an actual Project Pat song.
Yeah, that's crazy because I don't remember the Project Pat. I don't remember the Project Pat.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a Project Pat.
And see, in 2007,
And Willie Hutch,
He was on it.
He talks at the beginning. Hey, this is Willie Hutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. He talks at the beginning.
Man, I'm telling you, I used to love Willie Hutch. He actually did the whole soundtrack to the movie The Mac, and it's a lot of other stuff on there.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Dre earlier. He pulled vocal samples from The Mac. When the guy was talking and he was saying, to get rid of the pimps and pushes, you got to get, got to get rid of the pimps and the pushes and the prostitutes, and then start all over again clean.
Yeah.
Well, that was a vocal part from The Mac that Dre used on that album.
Man, there's really truly an art to sampling.
Yeah, it is.
And sometimes people, when you're listening to people sample, we don't give these producers enough credit because you feel like, well, you didn't create the original music, so you shouldn't get as much credit. But to be a producer, in my opinion, and slash, you may be able to. Well, I'm sure you can attest to this. To be a producer, you have to hear. You have to, although it's another original track come from somewhere else, you still have to hear it to know. Okay, I can put these vocals with this track and take a sample from over here to blend it in here. Yeah. And so it's still an art to that.
It's an art form.
I agree with you, Freddie G. I mean, just to hear some of these songs, you hear the original, then you hear something that a producer has done when they've mixed it in, man. It's just truly a work of art. And a lot of them, like Dre, is a mastermind of doing so.
So yeah, sampling for Dre was a little bit easier because he had so many people around him to where he could take an idea if they have something on the boards playing, and he could probably say, "Oh, damn, I hear something else over here," because it's tricky how it works. You may not know, like when you sit down to produce a beat, you may not know exactly what it is you want to do. Sometimes you do, but it takes for me to hear just a sound or something, and then it gives me an idea. So I can imagine what Dre was doing from being a DJ as well back in the day to knowing the old records and hearing what these other guys are doing. So I know it probably was easy for him to pick a sample,
Yeah. Now, here's a question. It may be a dumb question, man, but I'm on the short yellow bus with Comedian 96. I don't have to wear no helmet though, and I don't lick the window like he do. but help me to understand the difference between sampling and remixing.
Okay, sampling is when you take 2 or maybe 1 bar to 4 bars of the exact instrumentation that was recorded and produced on a record. Whenever they you just taking information that's already there. Remixing is saying, okay, maybe I'm going to pick something out of that, but I'm going to remix it and play my own stuff around it. But I like what this sounds like. But I'm going to, do it just slightly different from what's already there. So it's the exact song, but it's done your way. Sampling is taking exactly what was already there and placing some drums on top of it.
So let me ask you. Zero. We know his legendary freestyle.
Mo City Don.
Yeah.
Yep. That track came from somewhere, and the first time I heard that track, I think it was dealing with Eric B. and Rakim.
Eric B. and Rakim, exactly.
So, was that considered sampling or remixing it?
You know what? I would have to hear it because I don't want to miscredit that song or discredit that song in any way. I don't remember exactly what it sounds like. Like I say, I would have to hear it. But I think that it could have been possibly remade. I don't think it was an actual sample because it was other stuff in Eric B. and Rakim's part that was sampled that's not on Zero's part.
Yeah, because I can vividly remember the pump up the volume, up the volume.
In Easy, I mean in the other one.
Yeah. I
That's not in Zero's.
Yeah.
Although that drum track is a drum loop. The drums. That's a drum loop, which people use in a lot of different songs. They'll use a drum loop, and I don't know where that come from, but that was in Eric B. and Rakim. Somewhat similar to Soul to Soul. They use the same drum track. So that's just a sample loop, the drums. And if I can find that loop just like he can find that loop, I can play my own bass line to sound like theirs. So that's why I say I didn't want to discredit Zero's song. I think it's the same drum loop sample, but I think they rekeyed the instruments because you don't have all of what Eric B. and them had in theirs in Zero's.
I gotta ask a question about beats, man. I know this is a crazy question, but I've listened to songs that they start off exactly the same, right? If you listen to Usher's new song with LMA, the beginning, and it starts off with and then you listen to I Like the Way. If you listen to the very first beat, you cannot tell which song
When you
it
say
is.
I Like the Way, are you speaking of High Five,
Kissing Game.
Yeah.
Listen to High Five, Kissing Game, the beginning, and Usher's beginning of Don't Waste My Time.
Yeah.
See, that's
They
now to me that seems like
exactly the same.
to me that seems like that'll be a melody, like it's a
Yeah.
melody.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word issue lightly.
Yeah.
But that seems like that's dealing with the melody of the song versus sampling.
But you're tricking
Well,
me because I don't know which one's going to come on because the beats are exactly alike when they very first start.
There's a lot of songs like that, though.
It's
Whether-
what
whether-
else is
Whether or not it's the melody or if it's the drum track, it can still be sampled and utilized however the producer want to use it,
Yeah.
So either way, it's all sampling. So some people will sample a melody.
Mercy. Who sings Mercy, Mercy Me? Who sings that song?
That's
Marvin
Marvin
Gaye.
Gaye.
Okay, hit that song and wanna go out to party. They start off exactly the same as well.
That's Marvin Gaye.
Both
too.
of them are
They
Marvin Gaye
both
songs.
start the
They're-
same
I would
way.
expect that from Marvin.
I was like, I don't. That also, what's her name? Pebbles, and what's that? Cut Close. They have two songs that start. There's a lot of people I've noticed their songs start exactly alike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just, it happens. And I think I spoke on this before on a show that there's only so many keys and so many chords and so many notes in music.
Right.
So it's only so many progressions. So most of it's going to be similar. It's not going to be the same. You have an option to make it different, but it's still going to be similar. Now, back in 1991, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince released their season anthem, Summertime. Now, that comes from Kool and the Gang. In 1974, their song was called Summer Madness.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Even here's the
It
thing.
was the instrumental.
Yeah, it was.
It didn't have no vocals on that song. That Kool and the Gang did.
You're right. And Will Smith gives a shout out during the song
Yeah, he
Summertime.
does.
Kool and the Gang.
And he says
Summer
Madness.
Summer
It
Madness.
sure does.
Yeah.
I got a question and it's kind of piggybacking off of the question that Freddie G asked in regard to the difference between remixing and sampling. P. Diddy, is known for being the remix king. And I don't know if you can answer this or not, but can you explain what the difference is between what he does and what Dre do?
Yeah,
does?
there is no difference.
There is no difference.
He samples. Diddy samples.
Right.
Most of those big hits that he had, one came from Dance With Me. I think we talked about him before, which was one of the rock groups a while back. But this was doom 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. So that was Dance With Me.
Yeah.
That was original rock song.
So
from back in the day.
ain't much difference between
Nah,
Dre.
nah,
Well,
it's
Diddy
not.
used a lot of baby oil during this
During this session.
during this session.
too
You gotta
early.
have baby oil. So
It's too early, bro.
So yeah, it's they pretty much do the same thing, and I can't say which one does it better because they both good at it, And the same way that Dre works, Diddy works the same way. He has a lot of producers around him. You know, so they're creating these tracks, and he's coming in and he's putting that ear to it, saying, "Oh, this need that, this need that. I don't like that. Let's change this." So he's a key factor to why some of that stuff sounds good. Which same with Dre, because Dre, not to say he's not producing everything, but there are other producers that he's around, and they are contributing to these tracks that he's doing.
So now you got me wondering. If you hear, let's say you're a producer and you hear a song you want to sample, some music, not vocals,
Music.
some
The
music,
actual music.
the actual music you want to sample, but you can't get the clearance from the original artist to sample the music, but you go and find musicians who can play those chords and
thing.
those strings,
Yeah.
and everything else. They can play exact. Would that be considered sampling?
That's more remix. What you talking about? But there's still a mechanical license fee because it's the exact material. It's just replayed. That's kind of remixing, actually. You know, if it's rekeyed and replayed, it's more remix rather than using the exact thing and putting it on another record. You know, so if that's like if I go out and find some musicians, I'm like, hey man, I like this song, and I get some musicians to come in and play it, and I do something else around it. I just remix that, but there's still a mechanical clearance that you have to have on it because it's still the music either way. You know, so. If
Man, you got. I'm sorry, you got my car wheels turning. So now we talked about the music part of it. I got a question in regards to the vocal part of it. Now, there's a local artist that you know of. / He sounds just like Ronald Isley,
right.
and there's a group that actually, a rap group that got Ronald Isley on the actual song that they did, which was they sampled. Okay, it's UGK. They did a song called "Here We Go Again."
But they use
They use
the other guy.
No, they use Ronald Isley.
Ronald Isley, yeah.
But could they have used the local guy that you know who I'm speaking
Yeah,
of?
they could
They have used him
Rather than
Ronald Isley, and they'd not gotten in trouble for it or had to pay Ronald Isley?
no, they can't get by paying Ronald Isley. You're not gonna get by it because you're using the music. Period.
Right.
That comes up first, or whoever produced that music has the right to say no. You can.
So okay, remember I said we discussed the music part of it,
Right.
but let's discuss the vocal parts.
Right.
Of it. So let's say there was totally different music, but the theme of the song, the concept of the song, and the hook of the song was the "Here We Go Again."
The matching words.
Yeah, here
That's-
we go. The
yeah,
same melody.
you gotta
Here
pay
we
for that,
go
too.
again.
Yeah, you got to
Okay.
pay for that too. That's another form of clearance that you have to have because you're using it the way it is. You know, the only way there would be no clearance on that is if you go again here.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
But if it's in the same
Melody, the same,
same melody and same wordplay,
cadence.
it is what it is.
Gotcha.
That's you sampling. You know, so for most artists out here, man, if y'all gonna run across some, and I'm not trying to deter you from finding old songs. I mean, I encourage it. Just make sure that you get your clearance on it. You know, get a clearance or whatever, whoever you have to go through. I know back in the day it used to be the Harry Fox agency. Not sure if he's still doing it, but if you need to get in touch with somebody to use their music, I suggest that you do, because if you put it out there and let's just say that song blows up, it's the biggest hit of all times, they coming for you if you didn't ask for it. And it's only right, you know, that they're gonna say, hey, you owe us and you're gonna have to pay up. It's gonna be their word against yours at this point, because now you didn't ask, you stole this. You just said, you know what, to hell with it, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna use this. And then when it comes out, if it don't go wood, you don't sell 10,000 copies, hey, you good until it go. Once it go, then you got to come on with it.
That's when the problems go happen.
That's when the problem.
If you didn't get the proper clearance.
That's right. If you don't get the proper clearance. So in closing, I'm gonna just say, sample music is good music. Nothing wrong with sampling. I mean, just pick what you like, do what you like, have fun with it. Make sure you get your clearances. Don't let the people sue you. Don't let the people boo you. Holla.
So that's all, y'all, for this edition of Music Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Come back tomorrow and check out True Tuesday with K Money. Hit that like button, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, The 52 Scott Podcast. Follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast.